Any opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants personally and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers, Rogers TV, or of Greybrook Securities, Inc. Please consult a professional investment advisor before making investment decisions. Hey, it's Rav. You're watching The Everyday Investor, the hottest real estate investment show in the world. That's right, I said it. I don't care who knows it. Today we're going to talk about passive investing, how to make money investing in syndicate mortgages. What is that, you ask? Well, don't worry, don't fret, because we have the guru of syndicate mortgages, the guru of financing, the guru of investing in real estate. Not only does she do that, but I'm so grateful to her as she really believes in this show, educating the viewers at home, that she actually even sponsors The Everyday Investor. Carmen Campagnaro is not on the phone with me like she is usually week after week, but she's here live in person. Carmen, it's so wonderful to have you on the show. Thank you so much for
having me again.
For being here. And we're going to talk about something that's kind of come up in the last few years that a lot of people don't necessarily understand. I mean, I know you teach a lot how we can make a good 10, 11, 12, 13, 14% with private mortgages. Mm-hmm. And how I can put, secondly, I can put my RRSPs into a fund, and if I put in $100,000, I can take out $100,000 and use it and invest in other things as well. What's that new program you came up with? What's that called? ProFap. I love that. The exchange program.
Yep.
But we're talking today specifically about syndicate mortgages. There's a lot of buzz in and around that, where a group of people are coming together, putting cash money, registered money, my RRSPs, my RESPs, my LIRA, my TFSA, all that kind of stuff, lending it with other people as well, lending it to a developer, and then making, you know, some significant return on that, anywhere from 14, 16, 17, 18%, you know, annualized returns. And so what we're going to do on this show, folks, is we're going to look at this from, of course, the investor point of view, and that's you watching this this show. But we've also brought on a developer in a project on the east side of Toronto, and we're going to look at it from the developer's point of view. And then we've also brought on, you know, somebody that ProFunds use pretty much exclusively from the legal side. We have their lawyer on the show as well. So it's going to be a fantastic show. Before we get into making money in real estate, let's talk about more important things, such as you know, life, spirituality, family, all that kind of stuff. What's been happening? Yeah, you're enjoying. I mean, you're always cranking. You're working on something. You got your home in Florida, a couple cottages here, and not to say that these are material things for you. They're just things come up and you can't pass on them, and you pick them up, you buy them, you renovate them, you maybe sell them, hold them. What's happening in that world?
It's my passion for real estate on that side. So those aren't really business ventures for me. They're things that I like to do.
They're hobbies.
They're hobbies.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
And for home things, it's always the same. You know, I give my time after, and anyone that really knows me knows that after 5 or 6 o'clock, you're typically not going to see me in the office unless something really stressful is happening and we have to close. Yeah. And also on weekends. Weekends are my time, so that's committed to my family. Yeah,
and you've heard me say this to you and the viewers at home, I mean, you know, in past shows, but I drop your name all the time because that's not common in this industry, right? In the industry that you're in, Carmen, the more you work, the more money you make. And for you to make a conscious decision that, hey, you know, 40 hours or so a week, and the rest of the time you want to spend with your significant other, your children, you know, doing a little bit of traveling. It's
important as balance. And if you don't have that, I think that people can't give their 100% on the times that you are committing to your clients and your colleagues. So for me, I need that peace of mind.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
Yeah.
No, that's a great point for other entrepreneurs that are watching the show or that are in, you know, kind of the industry of, whether it's being a lawyer or a real estate agent or mortgage insurance or mortgages rather, insurance, all that kind of stuff, that actually clients kind of respect you more when they see that, hey, money is not everything. There's some integrity there when it comes to, you know, things that really matter in life, right? I mean, money can help, but it's not really the essence of pure happiness solely.
I agree.
So thank you. Yeah, thank you for being a great example to me, and for
you're the same way, so that's great.
Well, yeah, but sometimes you need it to be reinforced. There's a lot of negativity out there, and sometimes you get tempted to, maybe I should be doing more. Maybe I should make an extra buck as my kids are getting older and older, and they're wondering how come Dad's not around spending time. So when I see it in you, it inspires me to continue to say, Carmen's always smiling, so she must be doing, something right.
Rested. Rested. By Friday, I'm not like that, though.
And that's why you take the whole weekend off.
That's right.
Right.
Shut off my phone.
Okay, so we are talking about syndicate mortgages.
Yes.
So I don't do it really much justice there. I just say it's a bunch of people putting their money together, usually to lend to a developer. And I'm excited that we have a developer on because, a lot of times is, well, why does the developer need it, and how is it a win-win, and all this kind of stuff. So, Carmen, thank you for doing that. I mean, I think that's...
I think it's going to be very helpful for everybody to understand exactly why people would borrow, and then from the legal perspective, and how is it registered, and what is my security?
How am I, as an investor, how am I secured, and all this kind of stuff. So.
And when you talk about people putting some money in together, it's a lot more than that, and it's not just geared to strictly development projects. I mean, that's a huge part of what we do. Yeah. But we have a separate division to the company that does a lot of the analysis and due diligence on that.
Okay.
So we'll get into all of that.
I look forward to doing it, and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
We're here with Carmen Campagnaro. We're talking about how to make money in syndicate mortgages. Don't go anywhere. The Everyday Investor continues in a moment. Whenever you're considering to invest in real estate, always ask the 4 questions to start. Number 1, what is the return on my investment? Number 2, when do I get that return along with the money I put in? Number 3, what is the minimum cash amount needed? And number 4, what is the risk in the worst case scenario? Opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants personally and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers, Rogers TV, or of Greybrook Securities, Inc. Please consult a professional investment advisor before making investment decisions. Hey, it's Rav. Welcome back to the Everyday Investor. Today we're talking about how to make money in syndicate mortgages. We have my co-host here, mortgage agent, mortgage specialist extraordinaire, Carmen Campagnaro. But she's also brought a developer on the show as well, Gord Fawcett of Fawcett Communities. Gord, it's great to have you on the show with us. I've never really, we're talking about syndicate mortgages, and really never had a developer kind of come on and talk about the what, why, wheres of syndicate mortgages from an investor standpoint. And so I look forward to talking to you about the nitty-gritty. Before we do that, Carmen, before we went to break, we were talking a little bit about syndicate mortgages. And for the viewers at home, kind of give it to me kind of high school friendly, take it easy on me. I barely finished grade 12. So, what is a syndicate mortgage? And how does it kind of work? Okay, well, syndicated mortgages,
now it's gaining all this momentum, but it's been around for so many years. This is not new. Okay. So it's just because there's other companies out there putting this model together, and they're exposing it greatly to the general public.
So that's a great point, because I thought it's a couple years new, but you're saying people have been doing this for
old school stuff that's been around for a while. Okay. And now it's just gaining traction. So basically what it is you could have one mortgage investment, okay, and let's say it's $1 million or $500,000 or $20 million, and you have individual people that can either use their registered funds, RRSPs, RESPs, LIRA. It has to be through a self-directed plan that will allow you to let you lend your registered funds to a mortgage investment or cash, and then you take that and you're a portion of one mortgage in a certain position. Okay. So that's basically how it is. Now, the going returns for these mortgage investments are anywhere between, I'd say, 12 to 17% on your money, and these returns are fixed. Our company is the highest paying or highest yielding mortgage investment opportunity out there. Okay. So other companies are offering 8% plus a bonus, but that bonus isn't guaranteed, or it's not fixed. Yeah. Where our returns are fixed.
Even the bonus part?
Even the bonus part. You don't have to achieve certain objectives. in the project's profits to obtain that return.
Oh, really?
Our investors get it, and why can we do that? And I'll make it really quick, is that we don't have a distribution channel of people we have to pay referral fees to.
Yeah.
So we give our returns to our clients directly, the ones that are investing.
So let me understand this. So let's take, I mean, I think Gord, we have there's a current project right now.
Yes.
Correct? And we'll look at that, you know, whenever you want to look at it.
Yeah.
But this particular project, we're raising how much money?
I can't remember.
Roughly, let's just ballpark.
What's the raise on that one? I think it's about 18 million.
Somewhere around
okay,
there.
so we're $18 million. People like Rav and investors are coming together to putting it in cash or putting my registered money as well.
Correct.
And so we're going to raise $18 million. Pro funds, that's what you do for the developer Gord Fawcett.
Correct.
Okay,
so Gord would contact our company.
Yeah.
Actually, he found us off the Commercial Investor. How amazing is that? Because we've been on the back of that cover for over a decade.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because he's got an amazing project. So he's come to us with a project in Ajax, and he's going to get into a little bit more of that detail.
Yeah.
And we found it that a viable opportunity and something that's
for your investors.
For our investors. So what we do is we have Valour Capital, which is our due diligence arm on the development side.
Yeah.
And basically,
Valour Capital is the due diligence side on the development side to pro funds.
Correct.
So, but let me ask this question. So, Gord, the entire project cost, what's the entire, if you're raising 18 million, what's the entire project cost? We're developing, what are we building, a condo?
It's a condo.
It's a residential condo in Ajax. What would be the entire cost? 200 million, 300 million, 100 million?
It would be probably in the 200 million.
200 million. So
with construction financing. And
of course. Cost, so the entire cost is 200 million, and you're raising 18 million. Right. So where does this 18 million go?
It's all your soft costs, getting it to the stage of actually developing it.
What is that? Can you explain? What is a soft cost?
Soft cost is
servicing the property,
zoning changes, bringing sewers in, architectural drawings, things like that.
Approval,
sales center,
development charges, sales center, marketing material,
condo documentation for pre-sales and things like that.
So the land value, so it's 200 million total. The 18 million minus 18 million, the 18 million is what we call soft costs, and that's all the due diligence stuff, the marketing, the sales center, the nice fancy trailer, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Interest, carrying costs, all of that stuff is included,
And then the land, approximately the actual land cost would be approximately, if you throw out a number.
22 million right now?
It's appraised at 22 million.
22 million.
23, almost 23.
Okay, so 22 and 18, so 40 of the 200 is land and soft costs, and then the rest is to construct.
Correct.
Basically, I mean, we're just throwing small. I'm just trying to understand as an investor. So the land has already been purchased.
Yes.
20 by Fawcett Communities or whoever.
There's a group of us.
Yep. So you guys bought the land. Now you're raising monies for the soft costs, 18 million, and then we're going to sell this out. 80% or whatever the case is, we're going to sell this out, and then when we do that, the bank comes in and gives us money to construct and so on and so forth. That's basically what we're kind of looking at in that.
Yeah, it's similar to that. So basically, and I'll just put it really, really basic.
Yeah.
It's, you know, Gord came to us with his project. Now, mind you, phase one is that there's 5 phases in this project. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Like 5 different condos?
No, 5 different projects.
Groups of condos. So
there's townhouses and single family homes.
So it's a whole kind of like a mini master plan.
How many acres is there, Gord?
It's originally 50 acres, but we're building on 25 of it.
Oh my goodness. So when you say Ajax, I thought you got half an acre and I was saying 22 million. Oh, really?
It's a large and a beautiful development, right, with the ravine in the back. So the location is spectacular.
So it doesn't matter.
We've actually split off 25 acres, and it was given to the town for conservation. So they have full plans for bike paths through it. So it's never going to be built on. There's a creek running through it, so it's going to be a beautiful area.
Got it.
It's going to be a wonderful
so
site.
I get it. So 22 million
is the land as is right now.
Fawcett purchased that.
Yeah.
They've already done whatever they need to do with the municipality.
It's approved, yeah.
And then we're raising 18 million from the likes of Rav and friends.
Multiple parties.
Right? And we're going to put that in there. And we are lending you this money. We're lending you this money, and in return, on this particular project, we're paying Rav what?
Well, the return is 14% a year on your money. And if you want to bring up that example, right now, we can show the audience what it is all about and how the structure works.
Okay, let's bring up the example that we have there for this particular deal. in Ajax. Okay, so here I see it right here. So that says 32.5% effective return for a 2-year term.
Yes.
So it's about 16% and change annually.
Yes.
And LTV, loan to value, 90% or less.
And I want to explain that because
explain that.
What happens is we're going to lend the
okay, come back to us for a second. Yeah.
The borrower
yeah.
18 million.
Yeah.
But that money is not given to the borrower all up front, right? It's given to him in stages. So every time we advance some money, it creates value. Okay, so, and when you get into the construction aspect of building the homes and we have to postpone to construction financing,
yeah.
You know, it's going to be really difficult to determine the exact loan to value at any given time.
Because you're already making the property better.
We're increasing and borrowing, increasing and borrowing. So it's what we do is we'll put together a very detailed analysis, which our investors do get. They get something called a mortgage investment offering, which is a very serious package. It's like an
mortgage investment
offering memorandum, but basically
MIO.
We call it MIO. Yeah, and Richard Hall in our company, he developed that, and it is amazing. It's full of everything that anyone needs to know about. The full due diligence is there and transparency on every single cent that's spent, who's involved and everything. But so basically the project will not go higher than 90% loan to value at any given time. It could go down to 75%, then go back up to 80, could go to 90. So just for investors' protection.
Okay, so let me get this right. So the land value we already know was 22 million, and as we do things to it, it's going to go up in value.
Right.
The land value. So you're saying at the minimum, we're going to have 10% minimum of equity in there in case of a rainy day.
Correct.
That's what the minimum. It could be 15%. It could be whatever. But at a minimum, we're going to have 10%.
And at the end of the day, when we're complete with the first phase, the loan to value goes down dramatically because now you've got a finished product of multiple homes. How many units are in that first phase?
First phase is 330.
330 units, yeah.
Our plan is actually in this first phase is going to be able to take out pro funds at that stage. So the project will be almost at a self-funding stage at that position.
So what I'm wondering is if there's 10% buffer, so let's just say there's $4 or $5 million buffer, but we're raising 18 million, that's not going to fully protect me, but what's going to protect me is the land is worth 22, 23 million that you've already bought as it is, and you're only raising 18, and the lawyer is going to come on the show a little later on, that's my security.
Yes, you're registered against
I'm registered
on title on the property, and the lawyer
can.
And that's why we brought the lawyer, because we really want people to understand how they are protected.
Yeah.
You know, mortgage lending is registered on real estate, land, bricks and mortar. So, I mean, I think it's one of the safest investment vehicles out there, and the returns are significant. So we can go back to that screen and show people how that return works.
So that's what you just explained.
The 90%.
The loan to value. Okay. So it says, we'll take an example. Rav lends $100,000.
Yes.
And there is an annual interest rate that I'm getting paid by, Foster Communities of 7%.
Correct.
So I'm making $7,000 a year on my 100 per year for 2 years.
Correct.
So that's why it says $14,000.
And now in this scenario, what we do is, and this increases their return, is that you can actually choose to receive that interest in advance.
Right up front.
Right up front.
So let's choose that. So I'm going to give you $100,000, and then in the same minute, you're going to give me back $14,000. So in essence, I'm giving you $86,000, but it's really I've given you 100 and you've given me back the 14, so I am now giving you 86.
Right. So you would give the lawyer your 100,000.
Yeah.
And then the lawyer would actually credit you back the $14,000.
Oh, so we're actually doing that. Okay. So then the net is 86 to you.
So 86,000 is your effective investments, what you're really out of pocket. That's what you're putting out.
Yes, and then in 2 years,
you'll receive your bonus, which is fixed, and that's 14% for the 2 years. It's 7% a year. So it's a 14% return annually. But if you choose to take your prepaid interest in advance, your effective return actually increases to 16.25% a year. That's fixed. Again, I want to reiterate that because there's so many companies out there that slide that in for marketing purposes, but people don't usually get to see it. So with us, it's a fixed return.
Yeah.
So over 2 years, it's a 32.5% return on your investment, and it's RSP eligible.
So Carmen, so here's a question. I want to just keep on that for a second, guys. The annual deferred lender fee. So I am getting, suppose we didn't, to make it easier, suppose we didn't do it this way, and I just gave you $100,000, and you gave me $7,000 a year paid monthly for 2 years. Okay?
Correct. Yes.
So you did that. And then when this project is done, I'm getting another $14,000.
Yes.
Okay? And so when we come back from the break, I want to know how you can basically, is this the right word, or maybe I'm saying it wrong? Are you basically saying that $14,000 when we're done is guaranteed?
Well, it's a fixed return.
It's a fixed return.
Yes.
I see. So
it's not contingent on any success.
Yeah.
It is a return that's written into the contract and registered on the charge, which our lawyer friend will get into.
Okay, great. Well, let's take a quick break and let's talk about that when we come back. We're learning how to invest in syndicate mortgages and make 32% in a couple of years on our money. You don't want to go anywhere. The Everyday Investor continues in a moment. Did you know that when you invest in mortgages, your funds are secured on real estate and your returns are fixed? Any opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants personally and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers, Rogers TV, or of Greybrook Securities, Inc. Please consult a professional investment advisor before making investment decisions. Hey, it's Rav. Welcome back to The Everyday Investor. We're talking about how to make money in syndicate mortgages. We're talking to my good friend Carmen Campagnaro. We just had Gord Fawcett on here about a development that they're doing in the Ajax area. And now we're going to be speaking to Hussein, our lawyer. Not necessarily my lawyer, but Carmen, you're doing an exclusive deal here.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's a great marriage there.
Yeah, it is.
In terms of business. And so...
but I can be your lawyer, Rav.
You can be my guy. No, absolutely. No, hey.
He's really good, actually.
I think it's always interesting that people would venture into real estate investing and not dot their I's, cross their T's without a lawyer. Isn't that, crazy? Sometimes, people do a little chicken scratch on a napkin. And, I guess people, even for the very reasons of people just forgetting. Like, let's say you got two best friends doing a deal. We still have to have some legal input there to make sure that friendship remains.
Well, exactly. Actually, Ontario is one of the few jurisdictions that say you have to have a lawyer by law as part of a real estate transaction. So,
is that right?
Yeah, you can't. We cannot convey land. You can't transfer land without a lawyer involved, because at the end of the day, someone has to check those numbers.
Is that right?
Someone has to convey it properly.
No, because I thought that it's almost impossible to do a transaction with a lawyer, but technically,
no.
Is this something new?
Yeah, no, it's there because the system in Ontario won't recognize, the Land Registry Office won't recognize it unless a lawyer signs off on what we call Planning Act statements. I don't want to get too technical, but there's a line in there where they have to say, a lawyer with the insurance that you have,
yes.
You have to sign off on this. And so two lawyers sign off on it, and then only then can the conveyance go through.
Is that right? And is that just Ontario or not nationwide?
This is just there's other provinces that have it, but Ontario without doubt.
And then there was other changes, and is it still the same way that, say, Carmen and I are going to do a business transaction? You at one time you could represent both of us. Then it changed, and we had to have our own representation. Is it still that way?
It's still that way. That's a new law that came in about 3 years ago, and it's for conflict of interest reasons.
Yeah.
So and so in order to protect the two of you, you both have to have your own counsel.
Yeah.
Some exceptions, if you're in a small city and there's only like one or two other lawyers, you might be able to use another lawyer at the same firm, but you cannot use the same lawyer, even in family situations. So if you're going,
or brother and sister,
your brother and sister, you both need to get your own counsel.
Okay, great.
Now, can you use one lawyer can represent both parties if it's a mortgage that you're doing for $50,000 and
under $50,000.
So there is that circumstance, because I know that we often have one lawyer represent.
Got it. So if we're lending somebody, if me and you are lending somebody $48,000, you're 24, I'm 24, then Hussein could represent both of
I'm
us.
lending you $50,000.
Yeah.
He can represent you as the borrower me as a lender.
Got it.
So it works like that.
Yeah. Okay, great. So so you really represent and protect the investors, Carmen's investors per se, and we're talking about this particular deal.
Right.
So what are some of, I mean, we always ask the questions on the show, right?
Sure.
The 4 questions. So one, what's the return on investment? In this particular deal, it's anywhere between 28% or 32 and change, depending how we want to do it over the 2 years.
Correct.
And then secondly, we ask, when do we get that money? Well, a portion of it we get monthly if we choose to go that road, or I get it right up front, a portion if I choose to go that road, and then the remainder when the deal finishes 2 years later. What's the minimum investment amount? We never really talked about that. Is it kind of, I know a lot of your deals,
$50,000 for the most part.
about $50,000 is the investment amount, and that's cash or registered monies.
Correct.
And then the 4th question that we always ask, and we should never be afraid of asking, is what is the risk? What is the worst case scenario? So what are some things in ways that I'm being protected? Well, first of all, talk about the potential risk, Hussein, and how I'm being protected, how we mitigate that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I'm going to...
In syndicate mortgages.
Exactly. So just so your audience is just familiar again, the idea of a syndicated mortgage, I know we went through it earlier, but I'll just repeat
Please,
it.
Yeah.
The idea is that, let's say but best way to do it is by illustration. The 3 of us agree to put in $100,000 each.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
We're 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Right?
We're lending $300,000 to a developer.
To a developer.
Yes.
To Gord Fawcett, for
That's
example.
Right. Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
The mortgage that gets registered is at $300,000.
That's
One,
right.
2, 3, $300,000.
Yes.
The schedule to that will say, well, you know, Rav's there for 1/3, Carmen, Hussein, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So the 3 of us didn't put in $300,000, but our mortgage is registered for $300,000,
Yep.
and between of us, it's split. That's called a syndicate. It's a group of us going together,
Yep.
registering one mortgage. We're all tied for first.
Yeah.
We're all 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 in that example.
Yeah.
So we register that on title.
Yeah.
Now that's important because that doesn't change. It only gets discharged if a lawyer, like me, discharges it. And again, you got to sign off on that.
Yeah.
So that's there for life. It's like a lien, a charge, a mortgage against the land.
It's my anchor.
It's your anchor.
And it doesn't have to be 100 each. Correct?
No, there's just examples.
You have more money. You put $250.
Yeah.
She put a quarter. I put a quarter. We still register $300.
Yeah.
But you have.
But now it's different percentages.
Got it.
Right? You're up at 80%. We're at 10%, or whatever that number happens to be.
Okay.
Now.
Okay.
That you're talking about loan to value. Why that's important from a risk perspective is the following. Part of what I do is I draft a mortgage so it says, oh, and by the way, Mr. Fawcett, and he's a nice guy, but when we do these deals, he's on the other side.
Yeah.
I protect the investors. That's my job.
Yeah.
I don't care for anyone else but the investors.
Yeah.
So what I draft in the charge is I say, if you miss your payments, Armageddon begins.
Yeah.
Power of sale procedures begin.
Yeah.
Foreclosure procedures can begin.
Yeah.
And what that means in very simple language is we, the investors, if we feel that we're not getting paid like we ought to be getting paid on a schedule, we could force a sale of this property. Now, where the loan to value matters is if we put in we want to have a little bit of gap space in there that says if we can't get in our full value.
If we put in $300,000
and the property's only worth $300,000.
Yeah, we want to make sure it's at least worth $400,000, $500,000.
Right. So you want enough space in there to say even if, you know, as long as we can sell this for $300,001, I want the property worth more than that, so that some other investor will or some other business person will buy it. Yeah. So that's why the loan to value matters, because that's our assurance that if we ever have to, hopefully we won't, but if we ever have to force a sale, there's enough, there's enough fat in here that we can get our money back.
Okay. Great. Mm-hmm. So when we do that, because that nice tie you're wearing, it wasn't for free.
Right.
So how Carmen, how does who pays for these costs? Who pays for Hussein? So when I put $100,000, am I making 7% and 7% on my 100, or does a portion have to go towards some fees?
No, for you as a lender, it really doesn't cost you anything.
As the investor,
as the lender or the investor investing into the mortgage.
Yeah.
The borrower pays for that. However, just for clarity, it's not for an opinion on the investment.
No.
So if you want to go to your lawyer and say, hey, is this investment a good investment? it's not about that. It's about making sure that when you've made your decision on the investment, because you should be the one making your decision. You should have someone else, because if you can't understand it, or if it's not making sense to you, maybe it's not really the right investment for you. We recommend highly that you make your decision on the investment. Then the lawyer that represents your interests, independent legal advice, is to make sure that you're being protected on your investment, being registered on title property, properly, the property is free and clear of any kind of encumbrances or anything like that. So that's the lawyer's job, is to make sure you're protected when you do get into that investment. But it doesn't cost you. The person borrowing the money, unfortunately, has to pay for it. Poor Gord. So
let's give by way of example. So one of the things that gets signed between the lender and the borrower is a mortgage agreement, mortgage commitment. Okay. And it'll say
between Rav and Gord.
No, between us, as all of us investors, as an entity, and the end borrower.
Got it.
Right?
Okay, so all of us collectively, the syndicate.
The syndicate, maybe under ProFunds' name as the front, right?
And the developer.
And the developer. Okay. And we call that a mortgage commitment. But that's just a fancy way of saying the actual agreement between us.
Just like my principal residence.
That's right.
Just like the banks would write a commitment.
That's right. It's very similar.
It states all the details. And
so this commitment might say, we're going to go in second place for $300,000. Right? And this is what the interest rate will be registered on title. Okay? The lawyer takes that agreement and says, all right, well, we know they're going in second place. My job would be to do a search of that property, see how many other mortgages are on there. Let's say there's 4 mortgages. Right? Then I got to say, well, hold on. If we register today, we'll be in 5th place.
Not on second.
So we're not in second. We got to start knocking some of these guys off, and we get discharge statements for the others, right? We also have to look, what about the taxes? Are the taxes up to date? Because taxes rank higher than mortgages. So we think we're going in second, but if the taxes are outstanding, they rank higher.
If something were to happen, we want our money back, but the government steps in and says, I'm
ahead of you in line.
Before we get our taxes.
Right. So I need to make sure, my job is to make sure that there's no one else in line that we don't know of. So there will be a first we know, we're coming in second, the taxes have to be paid, there can't be any construction liens, a plumber hasn't been paid or et cetera and has registered a construction lien, because they all rank higher than we do. So my job is to make sure that none of these guys get in our way. We're second, free and clear of everybody else.
So we're second, who's first? I'm assuming whoever's providing the lion's share, which is the construction financing. Carmen? Is that how that works? So we're in second. So there's $22 million that the developer purchased the land with. There's our $18 million of soft costs. And then there's the lion's share to construct this from whoever gave the money for construction.
Right, and I want to mention that when you have construction financing in front of, like in priority of our mortgage, that's actually people go, oh my gosh, now I'm second, that's negative. It's not negative. It's a good thing, because they're creating the value. And typically the person or the institution that is lending the money at the beginning, they're very, very analytical and detail oriented, and it takes a lot to get the approvals done. So if they're approving it, we're in a go position, and we're going to start to build, and things are going to happen, and value is going to be increased. So every dollar they
ride their coattails.
So is it the same scenario that they won't even get the construction financing till we've sold out about 70-80%? It's the same thing?
Correct, yes.
So for example, we've sold out 70-80%. Let's say when it comes down to it, lender A is not going to give the construction financing. It doesn't matter, because we've already sold out 80%. We just go to lender B or C. or D.
There's many ways of getting. And sometimes there are lenders that will lend, even if they haven't had the pre-sales, and it's more of a private lender. And then this way here, which is a benefit in some cases to the builder, because now they're not selling pre-sale or pre-construction at a discount. They can get full post-construction pricing on their projects. So there's a lot of things, but that's a lot more detailed.
That's where we sit down, we go to profunds.ca and we sit down with you, or your team rather, and understand this a little bit more. So when we come back, I'll take a break here for a second. When we come back, let's talk a little bit more about security, and these are again, we're not making 2-3% like we're making in RRSPs.
Right.
We're making some significant returns, and I can get it cashed monthly, or I can get it all up front, and all that kind of good stuff.
But it's great fixed returns, so I love it.
We're talking to Carmen and Hussein about how to make money in syndicate mortgages. Don't go anywhere. We have a lot more to learn when we come back from the break. Thanks for watching, everyone. Do you know when investing in mortgages, you can expect fixed returns on average from 8% to 16% a year? Opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants personally and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers, Rogers TV, or of Greybrook Securities, Inc. Please consult a professional investment advisor before making investment decisions. Hey, it's Rav. Welcome back to The Everyday Investor. We're talking to Carmen and Hussein about how to make money investing in syndicate mortgages. We had Gord Fawcett on the show off the top talking about a real-life development that they're doing right now in Ajax. Maybe we can pull that up on the screen right now and take a look at some of the numbers. And as we do that, we'll talk about a little bit more about the securities, any potential risks, all that kind of stuff. So here we are, and we look at that. If I choose, Carmen, to take my money up front, then really this is a 16.25% return annualized, 32.5% overall. So basically, I'm throwing out $100,000 and I'm getting back $14,000. So therefore, in effect, I'm in for $86,000. Then when this deal is all done, I'm getting another 7% per year, so another $14,000 on the back end. So total, I'm making $28,000. When you divide $28,000 into $86,000, that's how I get my 32.5%. Divide by 2, I'm making 16%, over 16% on my money.
And I wanted to mention with this will be launched imminently and closing before the new year. So
so this hasn't really, we're just about to start
this. Is fresh, hot off the press. No one has seen it yet.
Nice.
So this will be released in the next little bit.
Okay.
And then it's a $50,000 minimum investment.
Yeah.
And we can provide all the due diligence materials to investors that want to see it.
So if I've got $50,000 in TFSA or in RRSPs, RESPs, you're going to help, because I can't just do it myself. ProFunds helps me get it to, let's say Community Trust. You help me get it there, or tell me what to do, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, Community Trust is the only administrator we use, or a trust company that allows for a self-directed mortgage, because they work very well and they're efficient and they're quick. So far, so good.
Yeah.
We were working with another company before, and we've run into problems with them with releasing funds and timing of getting the funds out.
Yeah.
So community.
Not that any investors lose any money, but it's just slow and
slow getting the money out. So it was holding up the projects, and our borrowers were getting very upset, and the rest of the group had all the money ready to close, and we couldn't.
So actually, as an investor, I am losing money then. If it's slow to the game, I might not even get in the deal because it's so slow.
So Community Trust, but we have everything at our office. You can contact our office, our 800 number, or call direct, and someone in our office will help you set up that, get your money moved into Community Trust, and once it's there, then you can commit to these investments.
And so if I'm putting $50,000 from my RSP money, and I'm putting $100,000 in my RSP money, and I'm making $28,000 over the 2 years, that means now my RSP shows $128,000 now?
Correct.
It goes right back into my RSP.
Yeah, everything goes back into your plan.
Okay.
So, and it's obviously tax-free, so it's great. So there's no limit to how much your RSPs can make, so you can just roll that money, keep going. And if you compound all that interest over the next how many years, you'll see how you could double your money in no time.
Okay, great.
So it's great.
So Hussein, what's some of the most common concerns that people bring up when it comes to syndicate mortgages as opposed to private mortgages? I mean, private mortgages is, I'm lending you money, you're an individual, I get to know what you're using it for, I get to check you out, head to toe, all that kind of stuff. Fawcett Communities, maybe not so much. It's a company, it's a big business, they're developing, they're doing, how many acres? 25? 50 acres.
How many acres?
25 acres, I think. We had 50, but they're building on this 25 acres.
I believe it's 50 acres.
25 is going to be protected.
Yeah. They bought 50 acres, but they gave 25 to the city to have conservation area.
Conservation area, which I think is brilliant. So I'm not going to be able to do all my due diligence there. That's where you come in. What are some of the questions when it comes to private mortgages as opposed to syndicate, you know?
You know, the only difference, all the work's the same in terms of the only difference, the only negative I would say in that example that you're giving is, so if I lend you money, I'm lending money to Rav and I'm putting a mortgage against Rav's house, and you know, at the end of the day, it's Hussein that makes the decision then, Hussein just being the lender, not the lawyer, whether I want to let you go, whether I want to start power of sale proceedings if you don't pay on time. It's one person who's making the decision. The beauty of a syndicate, but it's also the negative of a syndicate, is that you're in a group. So you're sharing responsibility, you're sharing risk, but then you have to share decision making. And in other words, so there's some of, and you sort of outsource some of that to maybe a mortgage administrator who's helping you sort of be that quarterback.
And just to be clear, we're doing that with you. I mean, you're not the lawyer for Pro Funds. You're the lawyer for Rav and friends that Pro Funds, facilitated together. But you work on my behalf, not on Pro Funds.
On a typical deal, I will frustrate Carmen and her team, and I will frustrate Gord Fawcett and his team.
To protect my interest.
To protect your interest as the investor. Because I slow the process right down, make sure that we're getting everything that we want, and if we don't get it, they don't get our money. All the money is kept with me in my trust account, and I don't issue it. I don't give it to the other lawyer. I don't give it to the end borrower. I give it to his or her counsel. I don't give that money until I'm absolutely satisfied that the taxes are paid in full, that the other mortgagees that are out there have been discharged, or we got their statements and we have undertakings from the lawyer to discharge, that there is no construction liens. All of it has to be satisfactory before a penny actually gets transferred over.
But that takes time, and I'm jumping in here because so many investors get frustrated, and it's only because they don't understand how much is being done here on the legal side just to protect their best interests. And so money would be advanced to the law firm in trust, and it might sit there for, like, our anticipated closing date might be the 15th of November, but because there's so much to look into and making sure everything is okay, it might not close until the 15th of December, unfortunately. But they're only doing it to protect, and people get frustrated.
But investors understand that. So I'll speak to investors and I say, look, I can give your money tomorrow. We can close this tomorrow, but you're not going to get the protection you want. I'm helping you. Give me some time, and when we're ready, that's when we'll issue it. And almost all the investors say, you know what, Hussein, you're right. You know, take your time, make sure that we're protected, and then, only then, once you are okay, you then release the funds.
And they don't receive their interest payments until it officially closes.
That's right.
So investors need to know that just because they've released the money to the law firm, that doesn't mean the clock starts ticking on interest payments. It's only when the person actually that's borrowing the money gets the money.
Because we're all the same family, right?
But in the scenario we just gave, why would anybody want monthly payments? If it's monthly payments, so correct me if I'm wrong, if it's monthly payments, so I go put out $100,000, and I'm getting $7,000 back per year, paid monthly, so I'm getting $600 and change per month, or, which, you know, when it's all done, it's going to equal $14,000 over the 2 years, or I can get that $14,000 up front, right off the get-go.
I've got one reason.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Is there some deductions there that I'm missing? Or?
No. Some people borrow off a line of credit, right? And they have to make those monthly payments. So they like to see the money come in and pay off the line of credit, so that they've got that cash flow coming in.
So it's just more comfort.
Comfort that way. And then, Hussein, you might have other
I was going to, and here's the argument on why you shouldn't do that. Sometimes we say, don't give us your $100,000, just give us your 86. So if you're borrowing against a line of credit, you're borrowing less, and so
somebody's watching.
It just seems more sort of sensible.
There's two full returns on investment. One is 32.5% over 2 years. The other is 28% over 2 years. And I'm just wondering, why would anybody pick the 28%? The 28% comes with monthly cash flow.
People like to see the money coming in. So it's just a psychological thing. They want
and we have both. And I'll be honest with you, it surprises me, but we have both, where there's some lenders insist that they rather have the consistent monthly payments because they can plan themselves better that way. There's others who say, hold on, like you, I'm doing the math here. If I hold the money back without, well, that's certainly risk-free because it's still my account. Yeah. I'm only giving 86. I'm getting credit for 100. Yeah. I've got my 14,000 from day one.
Yeah, and I'm making a high return on investment, but that's okay. And then, Carmen, is it safe to say, or it's not necessarily the case, that with syndicates, because I don't really know a lot of people that are making 16.25% on a private. So is it fair to say that, when we're talking about syndicate versus private mortgages, that, there's potential to make a little bit more on the syndicates, or not necessarily?
I would say they're comparable, depending on the location and things like that. Now, I've got I would say that a syndicate mortgage, when it's through our administration, through Valour Capital, the mortgage administrator, it's a lot more of a passive investment. Yep. You're doing nothing. You get the package. We, the administrator, handle everything. All you have to do is receive your money in your bank account monthly from our company.
And to make this clear again, it's Fawcett Communities that is paying both of you guys.
Yes,
that's right.
I'm only giving $100,000, so that $100,000 doesn't go to pro funds. It doesn't go to Hussein, lawyer extraordinaire. It doesn't. It doesn't go to you guys. That's coming from Gord Fawcett.
That's right.
Correct?
Right.
Well, how it works is, so in that example, that you send me $86,000, right? We've already pre-negotiated what my fees are going to be, right? Yeah. Let's say it's $2,000 for your sake. Well, I'm not giving Mr. Fawcett's lawyer 86. I'm giving him 84. I'm keeping my 2. Yeah. Because lawyers are smart people, and we make sure that we get paid, when our work is done.
Yeah, but you're still getting 100.
You're getting your credit for 100. It doesn't affect your world at all.
That's right. That's what I mean.
In fact, you're getting free legal counsel. Yeah. Right. So it's a best case scenario for you.
Yeah. Okay.
And our broker fees as well. We would charge a fee on all of our commitments that we issue. Yeah. So our broker fees are held back from the law firm as well before they're advanced to the people borrowing.
I have, close friends that, because, I've not yet invested in syndicates. I've been privates and all types of real estates, multis and land and development, all that kind of stuff I've done. And I have friends who have invested with syndicates, exited, mutual friends of ours, the Mike Caderos out there, many people, and have had nothing but amazing things to say, and everything's went according to plan. Why is there sometimes a bit of a stigma? Is there some bad, how do we get in trouble with this? Is there some bad apples? With anything, that's why we have the Ontario Securities Commission. That's why we have FISCO. That's why we have the Mutual Funds Act. This is all government legislated, because there are a lot of bad apples out there that, they don't keep it at 90% or less. They go over.
Yes.
What could go wrong? Not with pro funds. I've never heard anything. No. I've only heard great things. But what could go wrong? What are people out there doing that kind of gives it sometimes a bad name?
The important thing is I think experience, and there's a track record there. And there's a lot of new agents that are coming into the industry and just do anything to get paid a commission, because that's all they have. It's their food on the table, and they need to survive. So unfortunately, there's some of that happening out there.
So they're raising money for Cousin Vinny, and there's not necessarily a Hussein involved, because there's another...
there's always a Hussein. It has to happen that way.
No, but it's Cousin Vinny. So Vinny's the developer, and Vinny's the lawyer.
You have to have credibility, and our default ratios are very low. Why? Because we don't want trouble. So what we do is we do a ton of due diligence. We do the best thing we can to protect our investors. Yeah. That's why our track record is so great. Yeah. And on the development projects, we have Valour Capital. Yeah. And they're amazing.
No, fantastic. We're talking to Carmen Hussein. We're talking about how to make money in syndicate mortgages. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back with Carmen's closing thoughts. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you have any questions pertaining to this show, or there's a topic that you would like covered, please visit www.rogerstv.com. Expressed in this program are those of the participants personally and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers, Rogers TV, or of Greybrook Securities, Inc. Please consult a professional investment advisor before making investment decisions. Hey, it's Rav. You've been watching The Everyday Investor. We've been talking to Carmen Campagnaro and friends about how to make money in syndicate mortgages. Carmen, it's been a great show, like always.
Yeah, it was great.
Thanks for being on the show, and kind of your what are your closing thoughts to the viewers at home when it comes to syndicate mortgages, or even this particular development, you know, in Ajax with Fawcett Communities? And
well, if anybody is interested in learning more about private lending, syndicated mortgages.
Go to profunds.ca.
You can actually register online to receive. If you go to profunds.ca, you can actually get onto our list where you'll receive these investment opportunities. You can take a look at them. If you need any information, we can meet with people one-on-one in our office in Burlington, but we'll spend the time to go through the whole process from start to finish, so there's comfort there. We have a whole team that assists with that. We can help you with moving your registered funds, and this investment is going to be great. You've got security on not just one little development, but the entire package, which is beautiful. We don't get that too often.
And what I appreciate about your operation is, you know, it's a one-stop shop, right? I can figure it out, because I think when I have to, we're lazy by nature, and so if I know that we have a lot of help and people can help, you know, guide, you know, dotting I's, crossing T's. You've got Hussein involved, all that kind of stuff. I think that's good. That's great.
We've got a great team, and they're all there to service our investors 100%. So it's great.
Well, thank you for being on the show. It's always great to learn from you. You're very successful in what you do, so thank you for being here, and come back soon.
I hope so.
And let's have some celebration over this festive season that's coming up.
I know. I can't believe it already.
Yes, we're getting
another
close.
Year. Where has it gone?
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
All right.
Thanks for watching, everybody. On behalf of myself, Rav Toor, and Rogers TV, we'll see you next week. Same place, same time. Honey, I love you. I'll be home soon. Ciao, everyone.